No. I'm not good at this yet. Okay, take your time.
Oh my goodness. Most of them are bad.
Okay, thank you for your attendance this evening. Chapter 295 of the City of Reading's codified ordinance requires that the HARB be guided by the United States Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings. Chapter 180, construction code, and by any policies and or guidelines hereafter adopted by the board or the City of Reading. While meetings of the HARB are generally informal, Robert's Rules of Order are used to structure the proceedings and maintain decorum. The audio portion of these proceedings will be recorded for record purposes. When the applicant hears the name of his or her property called by the chair, they should wait for the preservation officer to present the property summary and application proposal. The chair will recognize the applicant when the time is appropriate for him or her to present any supporting information to the board. Applicants are asked to limit their presentation to 3 minutes. Do we want to approve meeting minutes from
It's January.
January?
I didn't have time to look at them. I don't know if anybody else did. It's well, I mean, if there's enough people to vote, if they forget them.
I didn't have time today either.
I did not attend the meeting, so I did not have time to review myself either, so.
Okay. All right, well then we will table that
Yeah,
until
we could
next meeting.
just postpone that for you. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any conflicts of interest for tonight's agenda? If so, make yourself. Yeah, I'll make a note on the vote sheet. If anybody has any conflict of interest. The first applicant tonight is 524 Franklin Street, Berks Counseling Center. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. If you want to come up and join us and just sign in on the sign-in sheet, please. This is 524 Franklin Street. And. The historical integrity of this Queen Anne style structure has been significantly compromised with the replacement of windows and the application of aluminum siding and aluminum capping on the building's facades and cornice at the second floor roof line. The building received a site quality rating of 36 and is not a contributing building in the Prince Historic District. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for the replacement of the front entrance door. And the standards that apply to this project are Secretary of the Interior standards, excuse me, are number 2. The historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property shall be avoided. Number 5, distinctive features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a historic property shall be preserved. And number 6, deteriorated historic features shall be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature, the new feature shall match the old in design, color, texture, and other visual qualities, and where possible, materials. Replacement of missing features shall be substantiated by documentary, physical, or pictorial evidence.
Welcome. Hi, did you want to present anything, what you're here for tonight?
Sure, I can. Currently, there is a full glass door on the front of the building with a push bar. It's been hit by stray bullets at least twice in the last 8 months. The last one going through literally the frame the threshold. So at this point, it's necessary to replace the door, the hinges are off, those showing where that we. The first time we were just able to replace the glass, now we need to replace the whole thing, so we would like to go to a half metal door with the glass on the top, just to provide a little bit more safety. I did send in a picture of the commercial half frame door, as well as the push bar door closure and outside latch.
Yes, they've all been presented.
And this was letting me, you're purchasing the door in what color, or is this one that we could paint?
We can paint
You
it,
paint
it
it,
comes in
okay.
primer gray, is what I learned.
Got it,
and I
okay.
Would be fine with gray, or if you have a preference
Okay.
color, that's fine.
Okay. And then like a brush, nickel hardware, I see that here, right? Yep.
I'm not being rude and on my phone, I'm actually looking at it. The executive committee didn't see a problem with the door. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant?
The proposal does not indicate a hardware manufacturer. Do you know who the manufacturer is?
No, I did not ask that question.
Does it come with the door or you have to buy that separately? I'm thinking.
I asked what hardware would be put on it in their proposal, and that's what they sent me. Looks like there's a URL tag on the end of that, but I didn't see a brand.
Do you have a picture of it?
Looks like either a Schleg or a Sargent lever handle on the exterior with a scutcheon and a deadbolt cylinder. Either of those two manufacturers may have more specifically sensitive hardware designs. And that's something the board may consider. The other item is that the proposal includes an option for a raised panel under the door. Steel doors, polymetal doors and frames. There are manufacturers that offer embossed raised panels like the ones that we've approved in the past. And is that an option that desire the applicant pursue?
Do they do both commercial and residential?
Your preference would be for a raised panel, the lower portion.
I'm not necessarily saying I have a preference, but it is an option.
Yeah. So we could provide that option to the property owner. Okay.
They're available in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 panel designs. So as a half light door, you could do 2 vertical panels and a horizontal, a 3-panel arrangement with the half light. You could do 2 panels under the half light, single raised panel.
So it would be like what we would see on a wooden door, correct?
Understanding that what's there now is aluminum storefront, which is
Right,
Yeah,
that's
not
like
even
what we
trying to
were,
be
yeah,
historically
yeah.
approached.
But if you're gonna go with half light, you could have the option of making it look a little. Like it fits in that neighborhood and that, home. Now business. When were you looking to do this?
As soon as we can.
Okay. And you have contact with, your door provider?
Yeah.
Okay. Could we give her an example? How do we do this? What do you
Just
need?
on the overhead door site, is that, does it show?
No, this would be, so. The one that I'm looking at now is by Curry's, that's a very well-known polymetal door frame manufacturer. Under the umbrella of NASA Alloy, which is. There's basically two major hardware conglomerates, one is NASA Alloy, the other one is Allegiant. So they're a big company. And they have that capability, Allegiant does as well.
And that's for the door, the hardware, the door. Okay.
Well, the door and the hardware, they don't have the hardware.
Are we okay with the hardware?
That's.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking them. Or should we make a different recommendation with a raised panel door?
Maybe something without the plate potentially, look a little bit more. Maybe sensitive without the whole plate. But the lock and the handle sit in, that could be an option. But considering what we're replacing, maybe there's some small changes we can make to, or suggest to make it look. If we've got an opportunity. but
Yeah, levers aren't exactly
Yeah.
historical no matter
Right.
what, so you can't make that look historical.
But like from a commercial point of view, does it need to be a lever? From,
I think
or
it
from,
needs to
it has
be-
to be, okay,
ADA.
ADA, yeah,
But Reading Hardware Company produced numerous lever and handle boxes.
okay,
And
That
it's
makes-
still the single bar on the inside, correct?
correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
That break bar, yeah.
Can we let them make a selection? And then just get it approved at staff level?
Yeah, we can make a recommendation.
I mean,
for the
all we
raised panel.
really need to do tonight is to approve letting them replace the door. The other things, if they come to you with a couple different samples, you can agree upon one.
Yeah, like that, I do.
That's an option.
I sent the raised.
And then I can send it to you, Karen, but.
Yep. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the replacement of the front door for the building located at 524 Franklin Street, owned by Burke's Counseling Center. The motion would allow them to install a door or replace a door, which is a full glass door now. They're going to replace it with a half glass, half steel door with the appropriate hardware. And that the door design and the hardware choice be approved at staff level.
Would you consider being more specific about a, like a lower, like the applicant proposed, maybe some raised panel configurations?
Well, that's why I originally said that, maybe if there's a couple different styles.
Okay,
that
I just
they're
meant to be
interested
specific
in,
about
yeah.
raised panel, it's up to
That's
you.
why I'm saying that, if it would come to staff level, let them give the final approval, yes or no,
In color,
and color to be approved by
Yeah,
staff
make
level.
it. Wisconsin.
And you're okay with going with a raised panel design? Okay.
unless it's thousands of dollars more. How much more expensive?
Yeah,
is
how-
that?
It's 700.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's reasonable, yeah. Is that pre-COVID? I'm just saying, it's triple that.
They did not, you can come in and have a seat in the back of the room, hello. They didn't give you any examples of what that raised panel looked like.
No,
Because, yeah, I know you would have given it to me
Yeah.
probably. so,
yeah, I didn't know
okay.
there was one available in commercial.
I'll second that motion. I'll second it.
Okay. Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt,
Yes.
Mr. Politica,
Yes.
Ms. Weller,
Yes,
good. Then Amy, Ms. Johnson will be in touch with you. That's. Okay. And I'm assuming you're here
Second
for
on the
526
agenda.
also. Okay.
You look like the first guy.
Quite similar.
This is for 526 Franklin Street. Built in the Italianate style, the historical integrity of this two-story row home remains substantially intact and features a painted masonry facade. The original wood cornice with decorative brackets, original 4/4 wood windows with decorative window hoods, the original wood entrance door with decorative panels, a full arched leaded glass transom depicting the building's address above the door, and a full arched elaborate enfrainment that surrounds the door. The building received a site quality rating of 66 and is a contributing building in the Prince Historic District. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for the replacement of a wood picket fence, which is not currently on site, but was there previously, with a white vinyl fence at the rear southern boundary. And the Secretary of the Interior standards that apply are 2, 5, and 6, of which I read earlier, and the HARB fence policy. So, explain.
We recently purchased this property in April. It looks good at a distance, up close. The roof literally had holes and it was grading through. The roof has been replaced as a sign off by Amy. And it's an odd property in that it's L-shaped, so that both 107 Pearl and 526 Franklin are on the same deed. The retaining wall behind the property had been crumbling. At this point, it has been replaced. We had also gotten sign off to replace the stucco on the outside of that. It has not, due to the friendliness of the neighbor and the adjoining parking lot behind the property that says we can't step foot on it at this point. Still working on it. However, the wall underneath the fence was crumbling and the fence was crumbling. So we've replaced that retaining wall and therefore need to replace that fence back on top. Looking at the long-term length of how long the fence will last, we're certainly better off with vinyl as far as the upkeep and maintaining the presence of the neighborhood rather than having the deteriorated wood. So we would like to move and put a white vinyl fence in there, same height as what was there previously.
No, I put in the executive committee comments under additional notes that I spoke with the fire marshal and I did inform Ms. Bailey of this, that there does not need to be an access out into this parking lot. Because the fire marshal felt that or understands that this is a private lot, so you can't just enter out into it. And he felt that the fire escape would at least get people out into the rear yard until they could safely get back into the home.
Okay. Do they spray paint the fire escape? Is that what that black is on there?
I have no idea.
I couldn't figure out what that was.
We didn't do it.
No. I know, I just,
Yeah, it looks like they just spray painted the,
I
it
just.
looks worse in this picture. than
Yeah,
here,
that's
like,
what
it
I'm
looks like
looking at.
they, yeah. Cleaned it up a
Out
bit
the
or
back,
something.
yeah.
This There's all that black. It looks like
Yeah,
They just spray painted it and hit the building with it.
yeah, but yeah, so all that crumbling brick has now been replaced with at least a structurally sound home.
And no issues with the 6-foot fence on top of that.
No,
retaining wall.
he's not
Sorry,
an administrator, so
there.
there's no issue. It's not normally the practice,
Yeah,
but
I didn't think so, but
it would
it is,
not
In
make
this case,
sense
it
to
is.
have, yeah, right.
Did everybody have a chance to look at what the proposed vinyl fence is? Did anybody have any questions for the applicant?
The fence is going to sit up on top of that new retaining wall.
yes.
Okay.
Just like the old fence did,
All right.
only much better looking. Right?
Are you putting lights on top of those posts or?
Now,
Okay.
That style of vinyl fence that they're proposing, is that something that's acceptable in the historic district?
The board has. agreed on it
Okay.
before, yeah. I don't have any exceptions. We prefer wood fences. It's typically what we like to have, but like I said, there's been precedent set for vinyl.
And it's considering where it's at. Does somebody want to make a proposal? Or? I'm sorry.
Is there any other discussion?
So the proposal includes two options. One is for the eastern illusions, tongue and groove vinyl fence. And second is for a wood 6-foot high stockade fence. Which is I assume because we only have product data for the vinyl, but that's the preferred option.
yeah, I didn't know,
It's-
the second proposal was to do the fence between us and the neighbors. On the paperwork that's.
Oh, I see. So that's actually the other leg of the fence.
Correct,
Gotcha. So there are two different types of fence.
no, they're both wood, they were both wood originally.
No,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'm reading this incorrectly. Remove and haul away the existing stock.
Yeah,
fence.
yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay.
It is a strangely configured property though.
Yes,
There's-
it it really is.
Yeah. Took a little bit of time for the executive committee to kind of wrap our head around that
Yeah.
too.
Nobody could figure out who owns one of those.
Yeah. Oh,
oh,
Because it doesn't exist.
there you go.
You can't
Yeah,
find a
there's
deed
property
for that.
that-
There is
there's
no
property
deed for
runs
that
across
property.
it. Yeah, yeah.
is it occupied?
Yes. I asked them to be out by the end of May. It's
Oh.
still occupied. But the people I gave 6 months to get out, 3 out of 4 of them were out.
Then you're doing well.
Yeah. Apparently, the ones that were supposed to be out haven't paid a cent of rent either.
Are we looking at like 52 feet of fencing that you're gonna put in?
If we are
20
able
feet
to do the
across the
side,
one
I
and
can't
30
find that
It's
neighbor.
52, yeah.
Yes. Would he be mad at me if I replace their broken down fence with a new one? Then I can't find them.
So is this like the side fence that's there right now? Look like it might have been the frame of a chain link fence? These black rails,
No,
no?
that's. This is 107 Pearl, this is 526 Franklin,
Right.
that's kind of their, and this is the, so the,
This is your property here. your
and this
yard.
is.
Uh-huh, okay, and
The other fence is over here,
okay,
and the wooden fence was here.
all right, so
That's just rail.
okay. And you're not doing anything to that?
No,
Okay,
Not unless we need to.
It's just the eastern boundary line and the southern boundary line.
Correct. Yeah, the property is very odd in that it wraps around 524.
Which model is it? Is it B300?
Yeah.
It's 6 foot, right? Maybe not,
Yeah,
not 8
yes.
foot, as shown, yeah. I think it's the next one. It's those processing men. When they go, let me think about it. I'll make a motion if there's no, is there any other discussion? Yeah, okay, all right, so, I move to issue COA for 526 Franklin Street for the installation of a white 6 foot high vinyl fence, B300, as proposed. No changes or exceptions to the application.
Somebody want to second that?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt,
Yes,
Mr. Paul Ticker,
Yes.
Ms. Waller,
Yes.
okay.
Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure Ms. Johnson will be in touch.
Yes. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next on the agenda is 409 Spring Street.
I would. Let I know I'm not in compliance with, I bought this house back in May. And I made a big mistake, it was in much worse shape than I thought it was, and I had no idea it was historic. I mean, I knew it was old, I didn't know it was in a historic district.
Hold on one second. Amy's gonna read off about the property. So we all,
And if you wouldn't mind signing in on the sign-in sheet for us, please. Built in 1901 by SF Blatt, this 3-story Queen Anne style row home features a coarse stone facade, original slate shingles at the front mansard and dormer roofs, original roundwood columns and wood balustrade at the first floor front porch, original wood windows, and the original stained glass transom depicting the building's address above the front entrance door. The structure has been compromised with the application of aluminum capping at the cornices and porch roof pediment and at the second floor bay window and third floor dormer. The structure received a site quality rating of 102 and is a significant contributing site in the Center Park Historic District. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for the installation of aluminum capping and a K-gutter at the front porch roof and the installation of lattice below the front porch decking. And this was brought to my attention that the work was being done and it has been completed, and then I will let the owner continue with what you were saying.
Yeah, on the porch roof, a couple of gentlemen came by from the city and they told me that, that's when I found out it was historic district. And they told me that it was being done wrong, but they were just finishing when they got there. They were at the tail end of the job and the roof was rotted through. I thought I was just gonna have to put it, because it was leaking a lot, and I thought I was just gonna have to put on a new surface of the roof, but when they,
Is this the porch roof you're talking about?
yes,
Okay.
when they went to do that, the whole roof was rotted all the way through, so they had to replace the beams also just to support it. The house is in really bad shape. I did not have an inspector go in because an inspector wouldn't go in because it was foul. It was very bad. The people that I hired to haul the garbage out of there, 8 truckloads of garbage, went in there wearing masks. There were a couple of urine soaked mattresses, just to give you an idea. And I spent a month cleaning it before I could move in. I bought it at a point of desperation, thinking I had the seller's disclosure, and he lied a lot. And I took it to a lawyer, and I had a very good case. But then when we looked at it, it's a civil case, and he didn't have any money. He walked away from the sale of the house with $6,000 because he owed thousands of dollars in taxes and utilities. So he didn't, so blood out of a turnip, there was no point in going after him. So I'm stuck with this house, and it's a beautiful house, and I was really excited about getting it because I could actually afford something. It was well below market price because condition it was in. Because really there were rooms that you just couldn't even walk into. And it wasn't because there was a lot of garbage, but it was the smell. In fact, there's a room in that house that still carries that smell. Haven't figured out where it's coming from, but yeah, so I went in there with the idea of fixing it up. I thought I was just gonna have to fix a lot of damage on the plaster, interior plaster. The roof must have been leaking like a sieve. But
So how
then,
long have you owned it?
I bought it in May.
Amy's office generates a letter to all homeowners when they move into the district, letting them know that they purchased a home in a historic district. Friend of mine just got theirs yesterday.
I may have gotten it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was, like I said, I couldn't live there for a month.
Yeah.
The kitchen sink leaked like a sieve, and I had to have. So I didn't have any water. in
You
the
saw it
kitchen.
when you bought it? You went through it when you bought it?
I did, but I couldn't get it inspected. And so, I did go through it, but it was full of garbage. You couldn't really see anything. I couldn't get into the kitchen.
Right.
And so I was relying on the seller's disclosure
Did you buy this privately or through a realtor?
through a realtor.
Usually I thought realtors were supposed to disclose if you're buying a house in a historic. district.
That closing and the paperwork, there's
Yeah.
usually something in there.
There wasn't. I have gone through it. There's no mention of the historic district at all. Because there's a line there for neighborhood association and
Mhm.
none, it says none. So, like I said, he lied a lot. And one of the neighbors told me that the house had been abandoned until about December, which is when he came in with 2 of his friends. And I think it was, I think it had been his parents' house. Because it was full of furniture and, just ridiculous stuff, but yeah.
Okay, well, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna start from the top here and work our way down. We know that there's some vinyl siding that was put on it without permission, without permit on the front of the property of the porch. But let's,
There is.
Yes, that's what the aluminum capping that you installed on when the porch
Oh, on the
was
roof.
done, yes,
Oh,
yeah, the
okay.
cornice, yes.
Okay,
And
I don't think it's vinyl, I think it's metal.
it's a little, yeah,
aluminum.
yeah. And what I did was I sent you all this document that I had originally gotten a report from that the work was being done and that the porch cornice was not capped originally. But then when I went through the various years of Google Maps, it shows that there is no K gutter, but there is aluminum capping on
Okay.
the cornice.
We could look at the listing photos, that would be like,
Yeah.
look that up. try to
Yeah.
find listing photos.
I actually looked up the property and couldn't find listing photos, but the one photo, actually, the listing agent who listed the property next door, that was the only picture I could find of the property not showing any capping. It was like the brackets were,
That's an MLS.
yes, this.
Yeah,
was-
with the, it had the little, is that what you're talking about?
This
The
is
little
for
curly
letters.
things?
Yes. these
Yeah, the
little
curly Q
brackets
things
here,
were there,
yes.
they were
Yeah.
among the rotted, the
So.
porch roof was rotted through. He had put, some blue tarps over it. So that was my first nightmare. Well, my second one, actually, the garbage, the 8 truckloads of stuff. He was supposed to have gotten it out of there and just didn't. Yeah.
So you're saying, Amy, you think you visually established that there was,
There was capping.
Yeah, if that's the curly Q thing at the front.
Yes.
Yeah, that was there.
At some point, it was uncovered though, and that's what the complaint was about, that,
it had an awning on it? Is that right?
I don't know. I see there's little, I don't know if that's the,
But no, that's not.
I know.
Because that.
It's this house here.
No,
if you're looking at Google Maps, it's behind that tree.
Yeah, it's over here.
Oh, it's over
So
there,
see,
sorry,
nothing next
okay,
door.
got it.
This is,
I was looking at this right here. 'cause they're
Yeah.
Similar, okay, so it never had an awning on it.
this actually has.
I just saw that.
Yeah, you can't.
Okay, it's over there.
You want just the house, this is the neighbors, right?
Yeah, that's the neighbors.
I don't have the email for some reason. It's not like-
Prior to the work being completed, so the gutter isn't up there.
So all we're looking at right now is this aluminum capping, but you're saying it was,
Yes,
There.
so,
and the lattice below.
yes, now the lattice below and all of the Google Maps photos is definitely match the lattice that's at 411.
It was, yeah,
As an
it
original,
had to
an
go,
original type of lattice, okay.
it had to go, and I grabbed, the first thing that I saw at Home Depot was to put over it because there were cats living under there.
Yeah.
When I received the complaint in June, this is what it looked like with all the boards.
Yeah. so-
This is before, yeah, well, actually, you don't,
But what is that?
this is taken in June of the boards that were under there, that
Oh,
the previous owner.
Yeah, that's what,
there.
that's what we took off,
Yeah,
so. And, yeah, and those are.
exactly, yes.
A lot of people have this.
Yes.
So we had Eric in favor over on Windsor Street, they have.
Yes.
They're on the donuts, yeah.
And 900 block in North Street
Yes.
had this exact same.
Yeah, we had that.
Do you know if people make payments? I don't like.
Yeah.
I think it takes a carpenter, but
It
You
looks
look
like
at
it could just be.
yeah,
And made a, put lattice behind there.
sure. Just has
Basically,
to
we need
be,
to have her. replicate
Yeah,
this.
right.
Yep.
Yes, I guess.
So, yes, if you look at,
We need to take that off again.
well, except for the roof was altered, and there is no more Philadelphia gutter. And so now the K gutter has been installed
Who did that?
per contractor. But if you look at all of these photographs, all of them except for this one that from October 2019, the tree is too large and 21. The capping is there.
Right,
But
this is not,
It would have. Drained out.
and then down.
Down through the cornice.
I've even seen it go through this.
Well, it can go through, or there's an exterior downspout that oftentimes runs down and by the column. Right.
And is that what this is over here? This one?
Probably, yeah, it's in, you can still see it as the house, yeah. Basically. internal there. Well, I mean,
Is it- Should there be more than this roof?
yeah, I mean, that got covered up.
Yeah.
Right, did you replace the roofing material? You replaced the porch roofing material?
Yes,
You did, okay.
did you have to replace all of the like the structural beams and everything?
I believe they did replace all of it. They were complaining. It was,
Water had got to it for a long time, it sounds like.
yeah, the house has some of the worst water damage I've encountered. There are big sections of plaster on the inside that has to be redone.
Okay,
Even the backing is gone.
okay, yeah, has to be taken down, yeah.
And some of the doors are warped.
So is it possible to modify an existing roof to rebuild a internal gutter? Could that be? Sure. Yeah, okay, so it wouldn't require replacement of the roof, just a modification of what's there. Okay. And then that way the key gutter can come on.
Certainly, yeah,
Yeah.
I think, it depends on how it was modified so far.
Right,
If
right.
sheathing was reconstructed to slope all the way to the
Right.
leading edge
Yeah.
of the cornice line,
Got it.
that means there's gonna have to be some framing to make it work there in the single gutter.
Right.
And yeah, based on this photo, that looks like a flat slope all the way.
Yeah, for the gutter, yeah. The gutter kind of matches the people in 407. Their gutter's like that too.
Thank you for taking the photographs of the roof for us.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. This has been quite an ordeal, but anyway, you're gonna like this. I wanted to paint the porch verdigris because I just think that looks marvelous. But then my next door neighbors painted their porch Caribbean turquoise.
And they will get a violation.
And so this is what I've got to paint the front porch steps and the porch. that I
Then
did.
all I need to have you do is fill out another application and you have to submit that sample and I need the sample for the property file and I can approve it.
Okay, okay.
Does
I
anybody
can,
have
I
any
can just
questions?
give you this and write down its number. Cause there might be more ink.
Does anybody have any questions about the lattice at the bottom? You see where,
I don't like the lattice at the bottom.
you what?
I don't like it. I grabbed it in
Just as
Home
a
Depot because I needed to shut
Oh,
it
right.
off.
That's fine.
So,
You see what your neighbor has.
yeah,
That's original, that, Mr. Booth.
I
did you
have
say
no
that's-
idea how to get that.
That's it, it's a roof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
Is there a way I can get that or do I have to like?
Well, I
carve
think
it?
what the,
Pretty much
I mean,
it's just framed. And you just turn, it's framed and the lattice is turned to go in a different direction.
So I have
It's
to
not,
build
it's
it.
not that lattice though, that's,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah,
that
this is
sheeting lattice
square.
that you have.
yeah,
It's not a product off the shelf.
No.
It's something built by a carpenter.
Okay, okay, I'm, the reason I bought this house is because I need to be able to support myself. I'm living on Social Security. And that's the house that I could get the house payments low enough. I did have some cash. I put it all into the house and having custom made lattice work in a 4x8 space, which is the measurements actually, will be expensive. I don't know when I can do that.
do you know about the artifacts bank? in Center Park? The Artifacts Bank, are you familiar with the Artifacts Bank?
I've heard of it, I've never been there.
It's 705, 707 North Fifth Street. We salvage in properties that they're gonna tear down in the city or take donations. And from other parts of the city
Mhm.
that might not be historic. And we might have this in there, I'm not sure. But if
Yeah, I
we,
wanna go by there too, cause I need to replace the back door, cause back door is, well, the back door is like that also, so,
so I
but
think,
I'm not doing that. This week. So,
yeah, so I think if you go to the Artifacts Bank, Sunday, they're open at 9 AM.
mhm,
Sunday, they're open 9 to 2.
okay,
Monday, they're open from 2 to 6.
okay, I just started a job, a new job, and, I work all weekend, so I'll be there on Monday.
Okay, and they're all open by appointment too, so if you look them up, you can call. Mike Louder's there, he's our Center Parks Executive Director,
Mike Louder.
yes, he's there, Lauter, he's there on a Monday from 2 to 6.
Okay,
It's random on a Sunday who's working, but they can help you, if they do not have something like that there. They can help you find someone reasonably to help make something like this, okay?
yeah, okay, I was looking for wooden lattice and I couldn't find anything off the shelf, but I was also getting a bunch of other stuff, so. I saw that and I went, okay, that'll fit.
So I think
Slap it on.
we wanna have a discussion about the roof and the gutters. I mean, I know we did. As far as,
Yeah, it's challenging, I understand your situation, but, the fact that it was modified from the original condition. And, typically the board is going to ask the homeowner to, in this case. Doesn't sound like you have to, well, I don't know, there may be some, requirement needed to like reframe the decking or reconfigure the decking so that the water would run off into what was an original internal gutter. And that's what we'd be asking.
Oh,
for,
you
is
mean the
like
decking on the roof?
the decking on the roof, yeah, you can probably look at it relative to like, one of your neighbors, I'm sure that they may still have an original. Roof,
Yeah.
like a tin roof or something, and then you can see what the external gutter, so it's a hole that's in your roof. And then it'll come out, it's usually attached to an external gutter that runs down the column on the end of your porch, so that's typically what it would look like. So you have a secure roof, which is good, but this would require modification that would eliminate the need for your K-style gutter, which isn't appropriate in a historic district. And then you would have the internal gutter and then it would run down the downspout. But I think there are still opportunities to see that original condition houses in your block. I would hope so, at least, Andy, right?
Yeah.
Is there one next to it? Yeah, you can actually see it next.
there,
Yeah,
Or these two.
yeah.
411 has it, 413 has it,
I'm not sure, but.
Can you see 407?
no.
407 is just like mine.
Yeah.
This is 407 has a gutter, and I have no idea how long that's been there.
Well, I mean. I think it looks great. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to afford that.
I mean, if
Review
you
that.
don't agree with our recommendation tonight, you can always appeal it to city council,
Okay,
okay?
okay,
Or you could come back, I mean, we could consider a financial hardship
Yeah,
application.
yeah, I mean, you need, I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah,
I think
and
I'm doing a good
you
job.
demonstrated that,
Um,
yeah, I think you've
And I
shown
would
your
have done
willingness
the
to
roof
wanna do that.
differently,
Yeah.
if I didn't,
Yeah,
but I don't remember getting, well, I don't know if I even got the letter, because things were pretty crazy. So. But, yeah. So, and this is for the paint color?
yes,
Okay.
yes. So we could be able to have or financial hardship, and I remember we have to run calculations based on a number of different factors and see what the EIR is, we haven't done it for a while. Or the board could make a motion, she could see if she's agreeable with that, do the changes, or she could appeal the decision to cancel if she's not able to comply with what the decision is.
Yeah, if we can give me a time frame to work with.
There may be an easy way to frame this, where you keep the framing that's been installed.
Okay,
And
Frame over it
the
or
roof
something?
sheathing,
okay,
and install a diverter on
Okay.
top of that
Okay.
slope.
Oh, okay.
Extend
goes-
that to, and it would basically be like a wood sleeper that's wrapped in membrane.
oh,
And that would extend to a new downspout.
So it's basically
to penetrate.
downspout and how the gutter is
Well, so
sitting down front instead of.
your contractor would cut a hole in your rubber roof. And that
Okay.
would be where the downspout extends through the cornice line. And then you would just need to install this diverter that the water would slope down your roof, hit the diverter.
And
And
go
then be carried by the diverter to that new pole.
So so the diverter is instead of a gutter?
It's inside,
Correct.
like it
It's
was.
sitting on the roof and
Yeah.
it creates a stop for the water
Yeah.
to channel it over.
Oh, I see what you mean.
so it
It's
runs, so
instead
it
of
runs
a
in the
gutter, it's like
direction
a
of the internal.
barrier.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then they put a hole in
If
there.
it's a slope like this,
Mhm.
and goes to the gutter right now, this diverter would be like up here. So the water would run down the roof to the diverter, and then over to a hole that they would put in the roof where actually like your neighbors had, and then down.
I mean, if you have like.
Okay.
You have a contractor that's doing your work, correct?
No. Most of my work is being done by my son.
Okay. Amy, do you understand, Ms. Johnson, do you understand what Mr. Booth said
Yes.
about the diverter? Okay. If she had her son. For an explanation.
Is there a way to find like an image of that?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And she would have to like create a hole here.
Right, so they
Yeah,
would cut
and
the
then
new
run the
hole at the location of the old downspout.
Okay.
yeah.
And
I
then,
think that's a.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So I think we've come up with some ideas about the lattice at the bottom. With going to the artifacts bank, talking to some of the people there. Getting some ideas to some people that could possibly help if the artifacts bank does not have this there.
Yeah,
But-
the other thing I need on the porch. There's, I don't know what it is, the beadboard or something, that's the roof,
Yes.
Ceiling.
Feeling, yeah.
the ceiling is a big chunk of it that is gone. It's gotta be. Cut out and patched
Well,
in.
that's a whole nother application, so Amy's, or Ms.
I would make
Johnson's,
an application to do that.
Yes.
your seal.
So, yeah, certificate of appropriateness of that same application to that type of material, well, maybe the artifacts bank. Maybe
Yeah.
that
Anything to the outside of your property, anything.
has to be reviewed.
I'm gonna be sitting in your seat shortly because I have a change that I'm making to my property, so.
Okay,
I
yeah,
mean,
I just,
anything to the
but
outside.
that's like a repair to something that exists.
And if you find the exact same material or as close as possible, I can approve that at
Yeah,
staff
that doesn't have to
level.
come
Oh,
back
okay, then I
Yeah,
just need to
yeah,
show it to you, I
yeah,
don't need to
right.
like have a hearing and.
Right now,
and
no, you
be
just,
judged.
before
You're
you
not being
purchase.
judged at all.
Before you
I know.
purchase anything, you just have to show it to me.
Okay, so the artifacts bank, for everything. Yeah.
Yeah, take a
I
walk
need
through
to
there. They-
see what I-
You will be surprised when you go in there. It's magnificent and the prices are reasonable. We're actually having the 40% off sale soon, I think.
I think the
it's like
guy
next
that
weekend.
that I bought the house from, he might have brought stuff, he took out all of the lighting fixtures and the fireplace mantle.
Okay. Yeah, anything on the inside, you can do whatever you want, but the
But I have a
outside.
funny
you can't.
feeling that they're all in your artifacts bank, because they were there when I bought the house, when I agreed to buy the house, they weren't there when I got it.
There's also a section, at least in these pictures, of part of the crown molding that's missing, there's a gap. Is that?
Yeah.
There's a gap that's below the front gable, that's been recapped. And I
Wait a
see it
second.
when I see it close up, right?
Wait a second.
Oh.
Yeah,
This is different. Oh, this on the floor, 613. Sorry, Amy, which
This
picture
is the most recent picture. what it looks
What
like.
is- what is that?
So you see the gap I'm talking about, there's a portion of like that original crown that's missing, there's just a gap there, this is not.
That is from the listing for 411. And that's showing the capping not being on the property.
And this was blue.
Yeah, this
And
just,
now
the
it's-
new owner just painted this
Okay.
teal blue, and I'm going to send them a violation letter.
And the people on the other, did you see the color on the other side of that one?
Oh,
It's orange.
is it really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go out and take a look.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, sorry, these pictures are, they're different. So I see some with a gap and some without a gap.
I don't see what you mean.
Right here.
Oh, that's the old picture before it got done, so that's when I was told about the violation, and now the capping has been completed.
She didn't do this, or she did?
Yes,
This capping.
this-
I'm sorry, the moment better, I'm sorry, I'm confused.
The gutter is the most recent, the 8/23, that's
Got
last
it.
Tuesday.
Okay, I understand, sorry. This one, so it looks like this, I'm sorry.
So, yeah, so
She
this
did
was,
that.
Yeah, so here's the K gutter. That's what we're asking,
Yeah.
potentially asking to remove,
Right.
and then change it back to a neutral gutter, so we come out through. like, here, we're facing.
Over this?
Is that all I need to do for that page? It's good color, huh?
yes, no, this is a very pretty color.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. Look.
But it was covered.
No, she's. Aaron said-
Yeah.
Or Wisconsin saying she did that.
Very confused, I'm sorry.
What I'm trying to do right now, we're going on September. And I'm in a desperate crush to make sure that this house is not gonna get further damaged by the winter weather. So that's where I am, and it's taking everything I got.
We understand. Amy, can you, sorry, just for like, just
Okay,
for clarity, can you say what exactly is in violation and I mean, just what the condition is right now?
so the condition is right now is that the owner has completed all the capping and the
Okay, got it.
K gutter on the front.
Right.
This is only to show, this is what I got the complaint about, that these were
Covered.
they were
Okay.
uncovered, but it seems that the previous owner, I don't know what happened, it
Okay.
just got exposed. But so then when I went back and I was looking at the Google Maps photos, because I was looking for photos of this
Sure.
uncovered.
Yep.
And couldn't find any, and the listing agent literally gave me this photo, it's the only thing I have to show what was there. I found, and that's what I made this document for, it shows that there was always capping there just wasn't a K gutter, there was the original Philly gutter. So there was capping on
Okay.
there previously, I
Okay.
don't know when it was originally capped. And then, yes, you have photos, this gap is from June, so this wasn't finished.
Okay.
But now,
Did you put this aluminum capping on here?
No, is that on the back? Is that on the front?
this is the front.
I didn't know, I didn't know.
So
I
now,
don't think that's there anymore. Is it?
this is August
Present
23rd,
day.
this is June. So this is in progress, when the two gentlemen, they were from the trades office, I asked them to go out and stop you, they did not stop you, obviously, because this continued work.
Well, it's
So-
almost done, and,
Right, but
you
the
know.
work continues, so this is the finished work as stands today. Okay.
Okay, so that gap you're talking about isn't there.
Right, okay, so what I'm trying to establish is, what was the condition at the time of sale, even if it was capped from the 70s through
Right,
the day before she bought the property, what was the condition when she bought the property
And
on the dental?
I'm
You
not
assume it's
positive,
that.
but I'm assuming it's
Okay.
this.
So ma'am, when you bought the property, were those, you see where Amy's pointing, were those dentals exposed at that time?
Look at it. The little curly Q things were there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what you're talking about?
Yes, yep,
Yeah, those were there.
Okay, all right, they're still there,
And
you
then-
you just covered them.
You covered
They're
it with this aluminum here.
That's, yeah, that's entirely
So-
possible, yeah.
this is what is
Is
what it
over
looks
that.
like
All right.
today,
I'm
so
clear.
Yeah,
your son did all this work and covered them up.
well, he did it with a friend of his, yeah.
But it looks like from that photo that it had been covered at
Yes.
one time and maybe that piece came off.
Right.
because you
Well,
can
this-
look Fast.
Okay,
That's,
And
This
the rest of
whole
the
thing
woodwork
was
covered.
rotted.
yeah,
He, I mean, it was really disgusting. But yeah. So,
we're just trying to establish what the condition was
yeah,
previously, when you bought it.
yeah, it did have these curly Q things.
But these holes here, Aaron, is where the fasteners were.
That could have been for an awning, Aaron's point about the awning, that very well may be.
It
A lot of
does,
The old awnings have those little hooks.
it does have other hardware for the awning, so that might be what it is, yeah.
But it looks like that had been after that.
okay, all right.
It off, it fell off.
Okay, okay, all right, so
And-
we can presume that that's condition that we were working from, and present day is the same. Got it, okay. I'm sorry to make that so confusing, I didn't know what was what, so, okay.
No, I'm glad you said something because
You know, and that's why I went back here, September 2017, I dated everything and showed on Google Maps that it's evident that there was capping there before. At some point, it got uncovered, it fell off.
so
I
that
don't know.
needs to be removed, correct? That capping.
Well, being that it's there now, or there before, at least back to 2017, that's the earliest I can get it.
That's what she wanted. Was it on or off? She said off, right?
At least a portion of it is off.
Only the piece that had previously covered the pavilions.
So I think what we're saying is we've established that she repaired an existing condition, which was that it was capped. So that wouldn't be her repair of that would really just be Amy's decision.
And the K gutter is brand new.
Right, the K gutter is
Yeah,
brand new,
because
yes,
the roof is
yeah,
not repaired to match what was existing.
exactly.
I think the gutters ugly. It doesn't look good on that house, but.
So we're talking about an internal gutter, removal of the K gutter, replacement of the, and reconstruction of an original, lattice. You said painting the steps is a different application?
Yeah.
And you can approve that?
And this is just for painting the steps or the whole porch
So,
structure.
well, I figured it would be the whole porch. You know, it's
Oh,
all,
sorry.
it needs some work.
Are those columns
Yeah.
structurally
I was
sound?
gonna ask you that too.
I couldn't
Yes,
tell if that was a wire on there or not. Like wires hanging down, or is it cracked?
It's hard to
It's
tell from the
cracked.
photos.
Oh, it is cracked, then they're not structured.
they seem to be structurally sound. I mean, they don't move, they don't, you can't. They're solid.
Do you have a plan? Those columns aren't solid. Are those the ones that are pieced, Mr. Booth?
It's hard to tell from the photo. This will not be part of the motion, but I would recommend that you have a qualified contractor look at those.
Okay,
We've seen them in.
Yeah.
Bad, I live in your neighborhood, so it's not like we're outsiders and, we don't
Yeah.
see all kinds of
Yeah.
different examples of rot.
There's a lot of rot at the base, it looks like,
the
especially.
base of that column is,
Yeah.
yes.
So before you paint it,
Mhm.
we recommend that you have somebody take a look at that.
Okay,
They do hold up porches. The roofs, they do.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays it's all decorative and they're not, support columns like they
Yeah.
were back in the early 1900s.
yeah, I had a house that I had to rebuild the front porch that it was like that. It was a nightmare. But yeah, we had to jack the porch up,
That's
that
right.
your-
replace the columns.
Was that your motion?
Well, I probably want to reword it unless there's any more discussion, or if someone else wants to make a motion, just not me.
So we talked about redirecting. We also talked about financial hardship. Mr. Booth seems to think that the redirection of the roof. The water on the roof using, what's that?
Or diverter.
A diverter would not be an expensive.
Not require reframing, it would not require re-roofing.
Sounds like a good solution.
So I think let's go that route first. And then we can talk about if the applicant needs to contact Ms. Johnson about different, then we can come back to the table with this.
Can you add me as somebody who knows how to do the gutter stuff? I have no idea.
The diverter,
Yeah,
As a you might be able to put a
yeah, if
list
you
of,
could just, give me some ideas. Again, it's gonna take me a while to get it done, but yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you on that gutter. I think it's ugly. It doesn't fit the house at all.
Problem with K gutters is profile is intended to replicate an old crown molding. So if you already have a crown molding, and then you put a new
Oh, that's why
crown
it looks
molding in front
removed.
of it.
That's why
it's
it's,
done.
yeah, it's got a double sort of, that's what I don't like about it, but yeah. Okay,
I'm willing to make a motion unless there's any other discussion. Okay, so I will make a motion for issuing a COA 409 Spring Street for the following scope of work. All right, I look at pictures, make sure I got this right. Okay, so for the modification, for the removal of the K gutters and modification of the porch roof to include a diverter, the addition of a diverter, and an opening to be created for the internal gutter. I think those kind of details could be provided along with a list of contractors by Ms. Johnson. But that would be the preference to modify the existing roof so that there's a non-compliant K gutter can come down. You can return to the existing condition. In addition to that, the reconstruction of back to an original condition of the lattice in the lower portion under the porch. We would suggest that you look at the artifacts bank as a possible source for that. Or they could direct you perhaps to a reasonably priced craftsman that could help reconstruct that, but that's important to have.
yeah, I know, I've seen where it's wood and it's like those gates. I've seen them, I don't know.
I would, yeah, I'd
Yeah.
suggest that the example be anybody with an existing condition and it looks like your neighbors next door, maybe on the other side, have an original condition. I think sometimes those are, I don't know whether or not. we
On
have
the
a
other
house-
side, they have cinder block.
Yeah, okay, all right, no, I'm just
No,
talking about the,
right next door has the,
Yeah, on one side, he has the lattice work kind of, yeah, it's different. It's not this kind, it's this kind.
Yep.
But on the
We
other
can-
side of me, they have.
okay, we can make sure that you're directed to the right example of that. We would also recommend that you have a qualified contractor / structural engineer or professional take a look at the condition of the columns. It's not a requirement, but I think the board would highly recommend that you do that. The condition is that of the columns, especially the base, is concerning at this point. What else there is, and then the applicant can come back for repair of the porch ceiling in addition to painting the steps. I think, was there anything else in that?
so you're
Okay.
denying the lattice is installed
We are.
and approving it
Yes.
to be replaced
Exactly.
to match the lattice of.
Yes, yeah, and denying a portion of how the porch roof was done. And then, recommending the modification to that and then removal of the gutter. Yes,
Okay.
thank you. All right, that's my motion.
Wordy.
would anybody like to second that motion?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt,
Yes.
Mr. Politica,
Yes.
Ms. Weller.
Yes.
Okay,
Is that it?
that's
And then
it.
I will be putting this in writing and sending it to.
Yeah, and if you can give me a time frame that I can, kind of aim at, that would be good, because. Yeah.
There's your approval for the paint color, and if you
Okay.
wish to change it or anything anytime, just.
Okay, now,
Yeah. Don't do, yeah.
The time frame is typically 180 days.
Yeah.
6 months.
6 months.
okay. Let's see what we can do with it. Yeah, okay, I can get that taken care of, I think. My daughter-in-law works with a structural engineering company here in Reading, so maybe she can get some of it through
Okay,
that.
great, that would be fantastic, yeah.
Yeah,
I think you probably sleep better knowing if those need some repair, and if they do need some repair and it's in kind, that's something that Ms. Johnson can manage. But if you're proposing an alteration to the existing condition, the board would need to review that.
okay, now, I did want to ask you, because I know that you were talking with the other woman about her back fence. My back fence is stockade fencing. And the next door neighbor that at 911 has it got bushes that grew and pushed the fence down. So those bushes have to go and the fence needs to be replaced. I was gonna replace it with stockade fencing. The back fence is really awful, but it has a gate, but it's a chain link gate that somebody's tied on the rope. So I was gonna replace that too.
When that comes time to do, if there's a walking alley back there or anything like that, that's something you can discuss with Ms. Johnson when it comes to.
Okay,
applications
yeah, because
for that.
that's a no-brainer.
There's an
Replacement.
alley that goes halfway down that block, so I'd have to go back and look to see if you.
What
can access
You
it.
can walk down the alley in
Okay.
that. I mean, it's like this walk.
Okay.
But- And the people on the other side of the alley have chickens.
Oh, boy.
I know, I hear them in the morning. The chickens.
Well, thank you for coming tonight and
Thank you.
letting us review this with you.
Thank you, and I'm sorry I didn't do things like I was supposed to,
That's right.
but you know, I'm
You're
getting there.
Yeah.
It's a learning process.
Yeah.
It is, and well, this will be the third house that I've restored, and I'm pretty excited about it. It's just I don't have the money. So,
All right, have a great evening.
Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right.
take care.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Okay.
Get back in the spring. Anyway.
Next applicant is 404, 406 Penn Street. Want to come have a seat, sign in at the footboard, please?
These 4-story attached commercial and residential painted brick buildings received a composite index rating of 92 and 94 respectively, and are contributing buildings in the Callow Hill Historic District. Both have altered storefront levels, but the historic integrity of the upper floors is still for the most part intact. The structure at 404 Penn Street has 2 large bays divided by pilasters. The second floor has triple 1/1 windows under one segmental arch with transoms. On the third level, each bay has 4 narrow windows with transoms above. The 406 Penn Street has 3 2/2 windows on each level. The 4th floor windows have round arched upper sash with curved muttons. It also has a large bracketed cornice with some decorative brickwork. These buildings are stylistically distinct. 406 could have been built first and is Italianate in style, and 404 is also Italianate with some Romanesque details. Both were built in the mid to late 19th century. And tonight we are reviewing modifications that were made to the front facade, and the Secretary of the Interior guidelines that apply to this are 2, 5, and 6, of which 2, 5, and 6 of which I had read earlier.
Did you want to present?
Well, like I said, we're coming here because the contractor really didn't do what he was supposed to do in a sense, and in the meantime, I hired a new contractor here to have this meeting to see what we discussed to make it as simple as possible to make corrections and make it right, and agree upon some agreement to color wise and all that kind of stuff, which it's even the wrong color was the brick, and the sign wise, it's nice and level with all the other signs next to the other buildings. that are next to me, but there's a pizza and wings that could be removed from the bottom part, which won't be an issue, like to that part, if you do that. It'd be nice, recommend it that way. Cause I have a picture here like shows that it's all nice and level wise, you know what I'm saying? You know, the height wise, I think they wanted it higher, I guess. Or wherever the windows were, and it's supposed to be that were replaced with just brick.
This is what you presented to us that you were gonna do.
Yes, and what the contractor did, he went straight on with replacing those windows, and we have to bring back the windows, do what we have to do. Do what we have to do.
So you were aware that the contractor was
He said
not
he
doing
was
the work to
getting-
your property that was in compliance?
Yes, I was aware, but he said he was getting approval with Amy, he was going back and forth with Amy, this took a long time. Procedure wise, and then he just went through it, and then it was like, you know, it was a quick job within a week. You know what I mean, and I was like, you know, and then it wasn't that even finished, you know, it was just like, you know.
The comment that you made about the color is correct.
I don't think the color was correct from
Maybe you have a pizza.
we have the paint that was supposed to match,
Okay,
like
okay.
with the top.
Yeah,
top grade,
yeah,
we
it
do
it
have
is,
that.
it is
So I
white.
think if we paint
It's
that.
brown.
It'll just set it off to match wise, and then that darker. The darker black. For like the trim wise. But then even at the bottom, they said, I guess, in the meeting that he really didn't understand. That he wanted more of the. What is that type of wood called? Azak,
Yeah,
the bottom, like that whole level.
Yeah.
But they didn't want brick, so they wanted more Azak, that was all, like, he was, like, even to myself, I didn't, you know, so it was brought up. And that could be, you know, that could be done very.
Sorry,
No,
I'm sorry, could you pull that picture up again? If you could, please? So the only
You can
difference,
have one.
thank you, thank you. You're welcome. So the only difference, thank you, the only difference. is the window. So
The only
that
difference.
is not the only difference.
Okay.
In the resolution, there was supposed to be a AZAC or wood installed in and around the windows, the second floor and the storefront window.
as a trim,
Right.
Okay.
Well, not as a trim, as,
frames, framing.
it would be even between the windows and the doors.
That's not.
And it's not shown on there because he didn't draw it that way. The board at the meeting mandated that that had to happen. That was
That's
part of
fine,
the
yeah.
resolution. No, but I
So,
have,
I mean, basically, he's here to figure out what can be done at the very least to comply, without having to painting this would be a shame because it's new brick, it looks terrible, the job was done terribly. But I think that would be one thing, paint it the right color. I mean, I think he'd be willing to do that. Even though you don't put brick up in order to paint it. But it doesn't look good. So that's something that, you know, and other than that,
I can attest that, and I can go get the sample if you want, but the sample of this brick is correct.
It is.
Yes, the color that was proposed was used. It was the paint color sample. The only paint color sample that was given to me was the black paint. This gray paint
Oh,
wasn't.
Okay,
So that was not discussed during the meeting.
Okay.
but
and then when did you paint the upper portion of the building?
First, before the brick,
Before the brick went up?
about probably
December.
3 months.
Okay, and but that color wasn't approved, Amy?
The
The
gray
gray.
color, no.
The light
it's not.
gray.
So she's saying this was not approved, this dark was.
Even though that's might not.
I actually don't mind this. But if it were to match this,
Yes.
do you see what I'm saying? My problem is that it's so heavy. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that building, when we approve this,
Right,
it's not so heavy between the first and second level. The lights, if you look in the, do you have a picture?
yes,
Yeah, if you look at the gooseneck lights, they're all over the place. One's up here, one's down here, one's
that's
up here.
right, 100%.
That's not what it's supposed to be.
No,
So that has to be repaired
Yes.
also,
Oh, yeah.
that has to be fixed.
yes, that's definitely.
What about between the second floor windows and that? I see you have a water problem already from that air conditioner. I'm down there a lot.
Yes,
There's like a plastic bag hanging.
Yeah, there needs to be capped, so that.
Yeah,
That's only because
Yeah.
the company that's supposed to cap it is not able to do it as of yet.
Okay,
But he talked with them, they gave a price, and I guess it's gonna be a while, I don't know how long.
Said, 4 to 5 weeks
Yeah.
Executive session.
for the flashing.
well, I think the expanse is gonna be broken up if they return and do the work as approved.
Yeah.
We're gonna lose so much of that, just all of that
Right,
surface,
right.
that is just uninterrupted.
Okay.
So I think what we just need to do is
This
really
is my
focus in
concern
on
right
making
here.
sure you guys understand fully what work has to be
Yes.
updated, changed, modified, and I also think we should consider rolling in the color of the building on the second and higher floors, since that color was not approved.
This was the color that was presented and that was what was installed, what cost. But it was not, the upper floor was not, the paint color was not.
Okay, then that's where we need it.
Yeah, we need to fix that. Is there some way that you can approve a paint color for this to match this?
Yeah, I can work if that's what the board approves.
Sugar
Can
complement
this
it.
become black? That trim?
Well, we
Yes.
talked about
Yes.
that,
Okay.
Mr. Grande and I,
You're right, that would be-
that's the intention is to paint the trim black, but there's supposed to be AZAC in
Right.
between.
Right,
Right.
yep,
All of this.
Right,
All of that.
right.
Yeah, yes, yeah,
Okay.
but Mr. Grande agreed to painting the trim. black.
Are
He
those
just-
white things, are those cameras all over? Like at different
Yeah,
spots?
there's the cameras that were installed from the city that's to work with the police and stuff, so they can come in and have access if anything goes up and down the block.
So painting the trim to match. And painting the building again to match.
Let me back up a little bit. You're gonna be able to cut through that brick and put these windows in?
I mean, anything is possible, but that's just. Anything is possible, but that's just kind of crazy to do it.
So what are you gonna do? Take it all down and put new?
Oh,
ones?
no, if it has to be, if you have to have the windows there,
Yeah,
it
That's
has to
what
be
we
done.
approved, yeah.
What I would suggest is, so we have to bring back this trim that surrounds the windows. If you do 2 vertical cuts, one on each side of the entire arrangement of windows. And then a horizontal cut above where those transom windows used to be,
Right.
whatever that dimension is, 6 inches or 8 inches. So 3 cuts, all the brick comes out inside those cuts, and then trim it out with the A's.
So you want AZAC between the windows also.
Yes. That was what was written in the original resolution.
Like it's even. So here,
Did that on Zoom, right?
here, hey, that little cop.
Yeah, it's like November, December.
I got, that's how it's 3 cuts. Right.
So
So
we
all
never
this from
got
the
like any
bottom
kind
down,
of
or
construction
just
drawings
all
maybe
this?
to reflect what that word had recommended, okay.
3
Yeah,
cuts.
yeah, I never talked to him again,
Okay,
other than
is this something?
he gave me the laptop.
And this is what they.
Let's keep going. Go back easy. Yeah.
So as an example,
Oh, right. Okay.
these would be the 3 cuts.
Right.
And then. You trim it out with AZAC around each of those openings.
That's the length of the whole building you had there.
So this is just that first section of
Section
windows, the
from the
next
front
one would
counter,
be
yeah.
the same approach.
That's the.
Okay, so I see. So the brick can stay between
Right,
your red lines.
over
and
here, that
there.
would be
That'll
brick,
be it, right.
this would be brick up here, but
Gotcha.
then anything inside that, those 3 cuts would
Yeah.
be AZAC. So I think that's kind of what they
That's
had originally. If you go back to,
Yeah, except it was wood all the way up.
exactly, yeah, so if you go back to
Yeah.
these original photos.
Right.
Yeah, there's, if I zoom in on this,
Yes.
it is kind of hard to see, but there's like a border
Right.
around all these windows.
Yep.
And in between. That was all wood, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, that was just,
Yeah.
yeah, that was just 4 by.
Yeah, that would be the easiest way to do it. Great idea on the water diverter, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I would hate to see the framing built for, filled up
Yeah.
with gutter.
Yeah. This is.
Yeah,
I love this value.
Change our face.
We agreed to that. It's center on top. But it'll be. Yeah. Bleach.
So I agree, it's very talented, but just addition. It's gonna dramatically
Yeah.
fill that space,
Well,
you're
yeah.
just seeing just this expansive brick right now. What's the board's opinion about the areas of brick where the border is done really poorly? Is there, what's the likelihood of being able to repair that?
Repairing it would have to be completely cut out. See that what this is, what I believe he used was
Yeah.
a system that has.
Yeah.
Plastic sheeting
Uh-huh,
that goes onto the wall and it has tracks.
Yeah.
The sheeting would have to be crooked in order for the bricks to be crooked,
okay.
because you can't put crooked
It
bricks on
kind
a
of
straight track.
guides the right,
So the whole thing
Okay.
would have to come out. Now, a lot of that would be repaired with his idea of cutting out. I mean, what's to say you can't cut all the way across? It wouldn't completely be repaired because there's some problems above it, but not as bad
but a
as.
portion of it would be, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I believe a lot of it would be.
Okay, because it seems like most of it's concentrated more to the right side of the building, but I see some other areas where the border seems wider.
Yes, how it happened, I have no idea. But it's terrible.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, it's
What
terrible.
is at the bottom, the door, when you're looking at the building, all the way to the right?
Yes.
Sprinkler connection.
What
That's a
is
sprinkler
that?
system.
Oh, yeah.
That's
It's
a
a fire
sprinkler and
department
water
connection
connection for the.
probably.
But it's all,
I think that's what he had to do to
did he have to,
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, it's just
create the opening.
I've been around a while and I think that's the worst professional job I've ever seen in my life.
I
Honestly,
watched him do it. I
Honestly.
watched the whole thing and I'm like, what's across the street? I'm like.
Sorry.
Yes. So are you guys saying that there should be no brick on the very bottom altogether throughout the whole building? Across the whole building? I don't, that's not what you're saying. The picture that you showed had, right, perfect. So everything inside of the red is AZAC.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Got it. So yeah.
Perfect.
The only problem with that is the window. Yeah, the window is part of the 2-3 doors, so that's, you have the, I got it.
I sent it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we want a copy of that too.
He charges for this sentence.
This is worth every penny.
What's the plan between the second and first floor, this part area?
You said you had contracted with, gosh, what's the name, for the flashing,
The Rams, yes.
ram siding.
Ram siding, yeah.
Yes, so, and the intent is to put a black
A black,
flashing.
yeah, black
or-
stripes. So it would match up better. with-
Yeah, that has to be done, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's,
Yeah,
that's,
there's
she
something, yeah.
pointed it out, it's getting damaged, and it's gonna get bad.
Yeah, because the water gets back in there.
Fortunately, we're cutting that out. Am I right?
Well,
Or not that far?
No,
not that far.
Yeah, well, see.
But that flashing, once the flashing goes
Yes.
underneath those second floor windows there, then that'll protect.
Yep.
I mean, can you imagine if water gets back there and freezes, the whole thing will pop
That's
off,
exactly what's
you
gonna
know?
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a matter of time when they're ready to have availability with the company. That's the first thing.
Are you going to discuss the color, this color in the cup?
Yes, I can work with you to pick a different color to match, I mean, depending on what the board. Approves, if you agree that. The brick veneer should not be painted and the upper facade should be painted to better match, because we discussed that too, that you didn't like the colors. That are currently
I
on.
just wanted to look great, you know, I wanted it to
The-
look
the-
beautiful.
One's
yeah.
brown and one's gray. you
Right,
know?
right.
They say that the reason we were okay with painting that brick is because it's terrible, and I think it would hide a lot. I know we're hiding, but it would hide a lot, that's why. I think we'd be better off painting that brick, to hide a lot, because if we frame out like the gentleman said. You're missing that whole section that you guys don't really like, that remains. Whereas if we paint it, we could probably make it look pretty good, especially if it's a darker, grayish. I believe, but
And it would match up, I think. Top to it,
Yeah.
too.
I would tend to agree, if we're not going to ask the applicants to tear off.
So
all
you,
that
you wanna,
red brick.
you wanna paint
Paint
what
You're
you
almost
just
better
put
off.
on,
Yes.
yes,
you wanna paint that,
only
Match.
because.
try to match the.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's true, yeah.
Everything
just-
is-
Everything,
Just one
Can't
color.
help.
yeah,
It would be like even a solid.
yeah, it would be
It's
something,
really
it would look like the
noticeable as you
building,
drive by.
like if
Oh,
they painted
I
the same
see.
color, it would just be a continuation of the upper corner.
Yes. That
So
comes out.
painted it this color.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Would
that
you
color.
agree?
I think that would be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Frame.
Yeah.
Windows with
Exactly.
art. Why don't you, what if they use the color?
Yeah.
From the.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're- that's
Is that what
It's
you
not,
meant?
it's like a,
Okay.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
yes.
But
The dark
if
is
it's
black.
charcoal, yes, but that's.
For all the trim.
That would be really good
That
for
would
the
make
trim,
the
and then
building match.
I think the three colors would match from the black doors then also, I think.
Are they black anodized or is it a dark bronze anodized?
Which,
The doors.
black.
The brown.
It's actually, I believe, the same color as the trim up on top.
So yeah, if it's black anodized, I can see the, at least the AZAC being that same color. And
Yeah,
then,
somewhat. Go to it.
and then either the brick being painted that color or maybe
Yeah, it
a
could be a
slightly different tone.
Exactly.
But darker than the floors today.
Right, whatever would match, but we, yeah,
Were the doors painted black or were they,
Yes, they were painted because of,
looks like they were painted. yeah, like, constructed black.
Oh,
Anodized.
oh, these are the existing
Yeah,
doors?
that's the existing doors.
Wow, okay. I wonder how long that will last.
See the handle on the doors or anything. Might be a maintenance issue.
Anodized aluminum.
We're looking at like the handle.
not if we paint those with the right paint, sanded the right way, and the handles obviously replaced.
Can the handles be replaced with a black anodized handle? or
Sure,
is it
I
hard?
mean, the hardware can be replaced at any, that's probably the path of least resistance.
Yeah, whoever painted those did, it looks like they just glopped it on, that's not the way.
You're gonna have to almost get down to bare
So the
metal.
bare metal, yeah.
Because if it wasn't prepped properly, and that's not an easy thing to do.
No, but thankfully they make machines. Yeah, or, find new doors, but I think we can make it look really nice.
And your recommendation, Mr. Booth, was to paint the storefront a darker gray, so to offset the storefront from the upper levels.
My suggestion was either the same color as the doors and the trim around the doors,
Oh, okay.
or a darker color than the floors above, but maybe a little bit lighter than that frame color.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea, dark color, whatever matches.
you just, before you buy the paint color, I just
Right.
need to have the sample.
Sample, of course.
Yes.
See her.
And then more than likely, you're gonna have to, you'll have to remove that sign and then reposition it back to centered above the transom windows and the top ledge. I think that's how it was approved. Is that right?
Well, I think that, if I may interrupt, I think the sign is at the exact level that it was approved at.
No.
I believe the Maria's part is, the pizza and wings isn't, because if you cut those windows out, you have plenty of room between Maria's and the door. I am
Maria's
nine-
was like on a side, wasn't it, like slanted a little bit on a.
The original was like opposite.
And the
Yeah, I know
original
that.
Presented was upper.
In other words, there's enough room between,
But you're looking at there, I think, you know, that's what the white sheet, the big.
this one, yeah.
Do you think that's
Oh,
suitable?
oh, this-
Let me see.
It's hard to tell.
I think it's.
Yeah.
There's no.
Yeah, but it'd be like
dimension
higher,
on
like
it,
on the
so I
other
can't
one,
really
on
see
the other
it.
side.
Didn't the resolution
Right,
say
this-
that?
There's only-
Above,
I'm
okay.
saying,
My name
it's next to.
I would say don't.
This is not a great representation because it's supposed to be centered and that's how it was approved. But because his picture is on an angle, well,
It's centered to like top.
The guy centered it to where it is. But like I said, that one light feature, like there's three. That one we were talking to Amy, maybe we just remove
It's-
the one from them. So we'll have one on each side.
I would ask that you hopefully not make us move that, because there's a lot of holes that were put in there.
No, but but you're gonna be painting the bricks, so you.
Yes,
match
it can
and then
be
paint the
hidden,
brick.
it can be hidden for.
Yeah. Also, aren't you gonna wanna remove the sign to properly paint the building? Paint the brick?
Oh, you would have to.
Yeah, so it's coming down and then you can reposition it properly.
The resolution states that the board approved the internally illuminated channel lettered sign to read Maria's Pizza and Wings in red and green letters to be centrally located in the upper portion of the first floor storefront as proposed, presented, and shown on the sign specifications. And the sign specifications showed it up at the upper level of the first floor storefront.
Yeah, this is the first, I'm saying,
That does show it higher.
yeah, it does, I see it here.
And the
Yeah.
drawing shows it.
I think the sign mock-up shows it even higher than the elevation.
Yeah. It does.
I know what your apprehension is, 'cause you're gonna have, each of those letters is individually illuminated, so you've got conduit poking through it at each letter. Do you know if the conduit is high or low?
That I don't, because that was put in by.
A1
A1 signs.
And the thing is that when removal of the pizza and wings, there's a different, amount of area there. We can remove and eliminate that, make it look more modified and
Could
centered.
you take into consideration if those windows at the exact sizes that they are here, the exact windows that were there before will be there again, and there's definitely space between them and Maria's, taking out pizza and wings. Is that something that can remain?
I think it's gonna be too close. I think that bottom of Maria's is gonna be hugging the top of
Yeah,
that window.
those windows, yeah.
I actually measured them, and there's definitely space there, but. I don't wanna argue, I know that they would fit, but. It would just solve a lot of issues. And if they don't, obviously, the windows where they were, because. Then the sign would be moved.
It may be possible that it would fit. I just think it's gonna be so close that it's gonna look awkward.
Why don't we do this? That's probably down the road with this project. I mean, I don't know how soon. Maybe when you get to that point, you can contact Amy or,
Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe we frame it out and show you what it looks like and see if you guys like it.
I think the top of the windows is gonna
well,
be where
it's,
the top of the
it's
pizza
not
and wings.
emotions, you know,
Yeah, I
it's
know.
just.
It's gonna be there, yeah.
So
when you get it.
it'll look like the letters.
I think you took a picture.
Yeah.
I think it needs to go.
Yeah, see.
We're really, what we're really asking is that you just go back to the way the work was proposed. We're not asking you to move outside of that. We're trying to be creative with the fact that the brick was applied poorly and we
Sure.
would like
No
that
doubt.
surface potentially, if the board agrees, to be
No doubt,
painted.
100%.
So pushing back on signage, which should have never been installed.
Right.
I would just say it needs to be done properly.
Okay.
Okay, now, whatever the motion is brought
No
before
problem.
and the board votes on, that's ultimately what the decision is. But if I were making the motion, that's what I would include in my motion.
Okay.
And I might
Sounds
make the
great.
motion.
Can you?
Yeah.
Incorporate that right into it.
It's gonna be even wordy than
I
this
second,
one.
I second it.
I'm not trying to argue with you.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I just think like we can talk in circles, but the end
Sure.
result is what we
Sure.
want, is that you return to the way the work was
Like
approved.
I
I
said,
understand there's some
once we
detail
get to
here
that
that
point
needs to
of-
be discussed and
You
we'll
know what I mean?
talk through this.
I was just showing the pictures, so
Yep.
you guys have an idea, see, you can look at it and.
I think I'm about to make a motion.
Go ahead.
Okay. Is there anybody else have any questions or discussion?
Yeah, I have,
Okay.
did we discuss the gooseneck lights?
I'll put that. in my
Oh,
motion,
that-
just
oh,
so
you will,
know.
okay.
Yeah. Was that, now let me ask, is that in
Did-
the resolution?
They
to send
were,
those numbers?
Mr. Grande was, suggesting that the center one be removed. I don't know how the board feels about
What
that.
light does that throw off? What are they there for? Are they there just to?
Because they put it in the front there, if you see the picture, that main one at the LED, oh my God, that thing lights up.
So do you even need the gooseneck? The lights aren't,
Not really, to be honest with you. I mean, I did like decoration on each end to make it look nice, with the historic look, you know what I mean? And that was from the original,
They're
And you don't want light washing the outer
Yeah,
perimeter of the
wow.
building of the facade? Like the two, if we just had that center one, which is way off center.
way off to be removed, and
Okay.
just leave one on each end that could be nice, and
Yeah,
it looked nicer that way. I
yeah,
think.
or we could have you move the gooseneck one to center.
Yeah, but that would be.
I think your sign would be in the way that
In the way
we
that-
the sign up.
Okay, yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
it would be, either you're gonna add another one at the end of it, or you're gonna remove it. Or
Does
to
the-
blend in to really look,
Yeah, the only option is 2 or 4.
Okay.
that's,
yeah, you could have
And
one on.
would,
either
if it would have
side.
gained more light with having another one, and the other one, not really, because what they installed. It's a beautiful thing, and it's dead center of my
Two
building.
here,
Yeah.
I mean, that, it's, you know, it's, that sucker, I mean, that goes out to like, into, that's beautiful.
Yeah, you can see the street light is like
It's
right
like-
in the middle.
Right in the middle of it, so I really didn't need any,
Yeah, you're right, it is, okay,
no lighting
and
extra.
you said you get a lot of light from the
Oh
street.
my God,
Okay,
more than enough.
okay,
Like even what, you can tell even with our camera system, it's, you know, it's light up.
yeah,
Huh? That light works on here, that's 24/7, that goes on nighttime, and that goes up. I don't know what it is, but it's very powerful. It's covers a lot of area, for this small light.
Wait, does anybody have any more questions? Right?
The arrow is in the middle of a motion, I'd say.
Well,
let's
I
keep
just
going.
wanted to give everybody an opportunity
No,
to.
I think we've got it all covered.
all right, so I moved to issue a COA for 404, 406 Penn Street, for the, okay, so the denial, Amy, is that, I'm saying it right?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
tonight.
So for the
Was done.
Okay, for the denial of the work that was performed incorrectly, which is the positioning of the sign. We'll just say like the incompletion of the drip edge, so you know that needs to also get done. And also for the fact that the window installation was not done properly in terms of the transit windows and then the application of all the trim. I won't go into a ton of detail, but as proposed by Mr. Booth and per the sketch that we'll supply to you. In addition to that, the painting of the brick surface, unfortunately, that in there, and add a color that Amy can help guide and then approve something complementary to the building, preferably something a little bit darker. While we're talking about painting as well, then the removal of the paint on the anodized aluminum entry doors, that I guess 2 sets there. Proper removal of that and an application of a paint that's appropriate for metal surfaces, and then potentially, I can't really see the condition of the existing hardware, hardware on the door, but potentially a change to that
To that
hardware if you
color,
can. Yeah, if you
Yeah,
can, and then
there.
make sure that that gets back before Amy, but that would really be the board's preference to change that out if you
Yeah,
can't get it to look, properly. Okay, and then the removal of that off-center gooseneck light, and then the retention, I'm proposing we just retain those other two gooseneck at the outer perimeter of the building.
But center, like, so there, one's up high and one's.
Oh, okay, all
Yeah,
right, so,
that has
all
to
right,
be,
so,
yeah,
all
like I said, they installed.
okay, all right,
Even-
so that they're leveled properly. And I don't know if I said this, I probably did, I'll say it again, and the removal of the sign. You'll prep the building, do all the work, and then proper reinstallation of the sign as proposed, centered relative to the highest portion of the window, and then the top of the facade where the drip edge will be. Did I capture everything? Yes. Good. Okay, all right, that's.
Yeah, I think it would look great to have different color. Bricks and
Right,
match up and.
Thank you. We won't take any more of your time.
Okay, oh, we need.
We're
a
not
second.
done yet.
Yeah, we need to vote.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt,
Yes.
Mr. Palatika,
Yes.
Ms. Weller.
Yes.
All right,
This is good. I think the second effort will
Yeah.
yield a much nicer
Yeah.
result.
I guarantee you,
Thank
it would definitely,
Okay.
gentlemen, be embarrassed for it.
And we're not the foe, we're the friend, okay?
No,
So just make, I wanna make sure that,
I know he's
can I
gonna be,
finish,
is
sir? Can I finish?
there a time factor here? I'm sorry.
Finish. Okay, so we're here to help, we're here to support, but we're gonna keep eyes on this. There's a lot of focus on making sure that that block is supporting
Oh
the
my God.
Albernia vision, you know that.
Yes.
And
100%.
we
I even
just
had-
wanna make sure that we're.
I had even discussion with Phil, like 3 months ago. I said,
Okay.
Phil, we gotta do something, you
Okay.
know?
All right,
And already he approved for the colors and stuff, and he's making the Marble Ranch, I guess, with the matching up the colors with the,
Great.
I said, oh my God.
it's gonna
it's
look
so-
great, yeah,
Yeah, I talked to him even yesterday, but you know, he's one of the owners that, you know, I'm trying to even get a hold of the guy next to us.
okay,
It's hard to get a hold of that guy.
sounds good, but we wanna see results, okay? based on
Yes,
what we're
definitely.
voting on. Thank you. All
Now, are
right.
we gonna receive a sheet of that then eventually?
Yes,
It's-
yeah.
We do have time on this.
We generally give, or the board generally gives 180 days. Do you have, can you tell us that?
I'm
You're
thinking
thinking?
I'm thinking months before it can be started unless someone else can come in and do it before, but you can't get anyone to do anything. I mean, this Ram siding is talking for 3 hours worth of work. They're talking about 2 months.
Okay.
It's just crazy nowadays. And I can do it, but I can't get to it for at least close to that amount of time. So I think we could try. I mean,
Okay.
if we can't, can we come back and say that we're getting to
Well,
it?
I mean, we would like, because it is a high visibility, I understand, like, we're in a unprecedented time with supply chain and materials and things
Sure.
like that, but we would ask that you make every earnest effort to do that within 6 months. Don't forget, like, we're heading into winter, or not right away,
Sure,
but we
that's
will
it.
be over that course of time, so it would be ideal for that to be, I can't force you to do it sooner than 180 days, but we ask that you do try to make this a priority as much as you can.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you, thank you so much.
thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening. Thanks for sticking it
Let me
out.
get that picture.
I will, yeah, I'll send it to you.
Thanks.
And both of you signed in, both of you, please.
The pendant, we didn't do pendant because it really, we're not.
Thank you.
I have to go. Oh, I'm gonna, this is gonna be, I'm gonna be up there another hour.
I want to know if we want some pizza there.
We're a little-
I wasn't, I didn't.
That's not a broken.
Right, are you yielding the chair?
Yeah. All right, I'll move.
You don't have to sit there.
Are you sure? Okay.
Now sit there in the hot seat.
You have to make her sign in.
Yeah, maybe you do, I don't know, okay, so, Nigel, you give the chair to me, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, you'll
All
have
right.
it shared.
So, this next application is for 919 North Third, please give their representative here. All right.
Stay there.
I feel so honored.
You need it anyway.
Okay.
Thank
That
you.
doesn't work.
Okay, thank you.
And then Amy, you can read the property summary.
Yes. Built in 1873 by W. Oscar Miller, this 3-story semi-detached second empire style home features a mansard roof with slate shingles, a molded upper and lower cornice and dormer windows with decorative window surrounds, eaves with decorative wood brackets at the second floor roof line, original wood windows, a two-story bay window at the southern facade, and porch roofs at the first and second floor level of the front facade that are supported by fluted round columns with Ionic style capitals. The structure received a site quality rating of 98 and is a significant contributing site in the Center Park Historic District. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for the installation of a pendant light at the first floor front porch. And we have the tenant of the building to discuss the project.
Oh, how long do I have? 3 minutes.
Great, yeah, I'm gonna stop by.
So, about a year ago, I had the electric checked on that front porch. There was some kind of awful. I don't even know if it was like this awful dome light that was put on probably in the 80s. The electric didn't work. I had an electrician check the wiring. And recently, my new landlord talked to me about getting the front porch light fixed, so he allowed me to go pick up the light. I really love that property and that's my home, so he knows I appreciate everything there and he wants to make it nice for me, so which I appreciate. So the light that I picked out, actually the ironwork on the light really replicates to me the metal in the window, the side lights and the half moon at the top. Just my opinion. I thought it was really cool how, yeah, that's actually metal in there.
Just that, it's not wood. Oh, it's
Yeah,
not wood.
yeah, it's metal. Yeah, so yeah, it's weird. So I want to actually I bought some markers, like just to touch it up a little bit, because there's some spots on there that are, you know, it's really, really, really old. And I'm almost like, when I wash those windows,
Yeah.
I have to be really
Is it
careful
lead?
because I think it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
And it crumbles a little bit, so I have to be really
Just to
careful
let it last.
when
Yeah,
I clean
yeah,
that.
is that they're fragile.
Yeah. So, I'm excited to get a new porch light and, that's about it.
All right, does the board have some questions? I do want to think about it. Annie, is there any like early pictures that would suggest this probably, I'm assuming this probably had a pendant light, but I don't know. Versus a flush mount.
I looked for photograph, no, I didn't look in the Center Park picture file. But I looked for pictures that I had taken in the box and I couldn't, and even on Google Maps, you can't, even when you zoom in, you can't
Hard to
see.
tell, yeah.
And I looked at the neighbor, that house, you guys
Oh,
know
I know.
where I
It's very
live, and it's different than any other house on that
Yeah.
block. Except right next door, there is no porch light there, so
None at all.
they have some modified thing shining on the transom window that's probably from the
Colonial
80s or
revival
90s.
over on steroids is what that is. Yeah.
What's that?
Your house is colonial revival
I mean, to
steroids.
be honest, I wasn't quite sure if the columns were always there, but
Next door neighbor is what the house looked like.
Kai has a picture of this house from like 1908, 1907, and the columns are
That's
there.
about when colonial revival started kicking into
Yeah.
high gear, so.
So
That's
the
probably new at that
difference,
time.
I often stand across the street and do compare the two properties. They are very similar, but there are some differences
The
too.
bay window was added, the columns were added, the porch was added like it was. Like I said, next door is pretty much
Okay.
what it looked like.
Originally,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. And what's the date on the property?
1873, according to.
Yeah, and Kai has a picture. It's an amazing picture hanging in his house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see the columns.
Oh, it's of his house and you can see this next door.
I don't remember if I guess it is his house and you can see it up the street. Yeah, because there's a bunch of rows here.
Yeah,
Four of
yeah,
them, I think, between there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a picture of that paper from 1963, because that was like where Frank Nada was murdered at.
Yeah,
outside the front of
yeah,
the house.
it
So,
was, yeah.
And here's a picture of it in the background, because that's where he was laying in the gutter, that shot.
Yeah. So my basement actually has a canning room. That's cabinets and countertops, and underneath cabinets, where I heard it was an Italian family that had a huge garden in the back. My yard goes all the way to Rose Street. So they had a huge vegetable garden. They would do all their canning in the basement because it was cooler down there, so. Now it's a soap workshop.
Does the board have any exceptions to the style of light that was proposed? Do you feel it's the most appropriate choice for the style of the building?
I do, I think it's appropriate, it picks up on the motif of the window monitor. And design's actually kind of brilliant because it won't capture any wind.
Yeah,
So
you're
it's
right.
single
So
yeah, suspension chain work.
Yeah.
It's nice.
shouldn't be.
Right.
Yeah. This is such a minor detail. The only thing I wanted to ask you, and this isn't necessarily like the board's thing, it's just outside. Is it listed for, is it UL listed for like damp locations? Do you know?
Oh, yeah,
It is,
an
okay.
hour after.
It is, okay, all right, I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
just didn't see
so
that. It just said SGS certification, so I wasn't sure if that. meant
Right.
around.
So it's funny you should ask that, because if you were to put that like in a living room, that's just a plain tan color like that, you would really see the light. But holding it up against brick or that, you don't really see it during the day,
Cause it's
because it's
dark
thin,
and thin,
and
yeah,
yeah.
it just disappears, yeah.
I'm assuming at night you'll obviously see
Yeah.
it because the
The light
bulbs are
bulbs.
lit up,
Yeah,
but.
okay, just want to make sure, yeah, all right. Well, if there's no other discussion or no other exceptions to the applications proposed, someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the light 919 North Third Street.
As proposed?
As proposed.
Very good. Is there a second to that motion? Okay. Right. All right, Mr. Booth.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. McDevitt.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Politica
Yes.
and Ms. Weller. Yes. Oh, wait, no, I don't have to vote on the chair and brain. It was going so well.
It's being recorded.
All right.
Get ahead of yourself at the
motion passes. You are approved.
Yeah.
All right. I'm yielding the chair back to Ms. Walker.
There you go.
You're welcome.
It's the easiest approval at night.
Yes. We earned an easy one.
Does someone want to make a motion to accept applications approved by staff? I have a problem. And you know what I'm gonna talk about.
Yes, I know.
804 North Third Street is a problem. Ms. Johnson went and, they filled out the application. I was getting tons of phone calls. I went down there, I talked to the people. They painted I don't know if you're familiar, what's that piece? Coping in between the properties. It sits about this high. It goes up the steps and comes down the sidewalk. They painted that bright red. And not only that, but I know you approve the colors, Ms. Johnson, but people are just up in
I
arms about
approved the
this.
colors and I tried to drag it out of her. I was with everyone. Where are the placement? Where are you placing the colors? Oh, I can't tell you because I'm gonna do this artistically and I don't know until I start doing it. I did not give her approval to paint any sort of the concrete or steps or anything. She painted the sidewalk like a gray color too.
Yeah,
And she did come in and see me, and I told her it has to be removed. But I did not call her yet, I did not have time, but when I went out there last week, it was still red a week after she said that she was going to remove it. And it's not gonna be easy to remove either, so, and I wanna talk to her about the placement of the blue. I told her to use it very minimally, and then she did the curly Q design and the
it's
pediment.
just, it looks like someone
I
took
didn't
crayons and just colored. And I don't know what to say to the neighbors anymore, like, I mean. It's gotta be looked at, it's just horrendous.
Is
It's
it
just a
worthy of
kid.
a violation notice? So can we approve
I
the
would say
rest of
so.
the items and recommend issuance of violation notice for 804 Third Street?
Hold on, let me.
There, I do have a picture.
I'm not happy with it either. And the picture, the blue that she used, I've not gone out there with the exact color sample. Of course, I asked for color samples and then she brought me, she had already bought the paint and she brought me the paint, like literally painted 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. But this is. If the board can make a motion to disapprove this. And to mandate that I send a violation letter so I can have teeth. Because I did approve, these are. The color red is not bad in my book. It's the blue that's egregious to me. These are the
I thought that
colors.
was actually paint tape in there when I first saw it.
No,
And it
it
just
was
never
not.
went away. It's like,
And the other thing she did,
That's pretty bright though. It's-
well, and this was when I looked it up online, I thought this was darker. And I said, just use it for a trim. I mean, not to call out Ms. Weller, but Ms. Weller, years ago, you had a pretty bright pink detail on your property in 900 North Fifth Street, and that was approved.
Yeah.
So I kind of, I always look at, what,
Yeah.
like what I've approved in the past. And using a bright color like that can look really nice and it look nice with your combination, but has a minimal color. And I think it still
It
might
is
be
still up.
painted.
It is, yeah,
Pink,
yeah.
like if you
But
want.
if you were to see this like this in person, it's just,
It looks like Crayola.
it's awful. It doesn't match the brown, the red doesn't match anything.
And
It should
she,
be tans and maybe like a dark purple or a dark brown.
she also painted the stone at the top too, and the grout when I went to take, not grout, mortar, when I went to take those pictures
Well,
last
so
week.
their credit, blue is on.
It is in the stained glass window, because wait, I did take a. And that's what I think she was pulling from, and people have done that before too. I don't have a picture. I looked at the, well, you cannot sort of see it in this old picture.
Yeah.
There is the same color blue in the stained glass transom. I did take a picture, but I didn't print it out.
like I said, when I saw this, I thought that was paint tape there that he was gonna take out at some point in time, but it never came out.
It's just too bright for a dark stone house like that.
Yeah. And like, that's all painted there actually too. Yeah.
You know.
What I'm gonna
Unfortunately,
do-
because we didn't catch it before the work was done and it was actually approved, I think it would be a mistake. Because in a way, it's self-incriminating.
Mhm.
It's just-
And she was looking at the neighbor 2 doors down that used an orange color and like a green color, but they're all, the colors blend well together, but I had approved that too.
I, as a designer, I encounter things all the time where I design things, I draw it up,
It
I'll
looks
look
great.
at samples, and then when I see it constructed, it looks terrible, and I think to myself, why did I do that?
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm stuck at that point, unless I'm gonna go to the owner and say, will you pay to replace this bad decision that I made?
It sets a precedence though, so now they've done it and it looks awful and it's bright, and then somebody else is gonna come along and wanna do the same thing and we have to do it. Next thing you know, we have the whole crayon factory
Well, we
instead
kinda
of
already
color.
do. We're
Not like that, not like that.
I think all you can do is have a discussion with her, just say that, like, there's some consternation on the board about that color and see if you can negotiate another color,
Yeah.
but I don't know if coming from the board of directive or a denial coming from the board is the right. I don't disagree that should probably be toned down.
Yeah, and that's what I was going, when I talked to her, not to interrupt you,
Yeah.
I was going to see if she could do another blue.
Yeah.
And choose, because we have approved blues, there's, you know, gray blues, there's people that have painted their whole porch a blue color. What I really feel like, and I tell people, I say, stay away from yellows and blues, and I feel like from this point on, nobody's gonna get any blue or yellow.
Well, I just, when I had my house painted, I had to have each part of my house, I had to write in the color of what each piece of molding was gonna
And
be.
I begged
What-
her, you don't, you
Yeah, but
don't
you
even,
gave her the, you gave the okay for the application without the,
because if you dealt with this woman, you would do the same thing. I dealt with her so many times, and she's just unreasonable, and I begged her, I said, I told her over and over and over what she needed to do. And
Good news is paint.
Right.
10 years, no problem, and the color will fade.
I am going to talk to her and see if she will repaint that blue.
It's worth having a discussion.
It is, at the minimum, like, we've made an attempt to do so.
And she has to remove this from the stone up here. I don't know why she painted
So
stone
part of
yellow.
it's just
Yeah,
moving.
yeah,
I saw that.
and it wasn't like that before.
Yeah.
Oh, she forgot to take the painter's tape off.
And then
It
the
does look
concrete
like that.
division between the.
Yeah, and that
That's
has, I told her, she came in and saw me at that day, same day you talked to her, she came in and saw me, I said, it has to be removed.
I talked to the boy
Oh, okay, oh, so.
that
you-
she had painting.
She came in, the owner came in, and I said, that red paint on the sidewalk and the sidewalk paint has to be removed. She said, well, I thought that was part of the house. I said, I never gave you permission to paint any concrete. And I said, and why would you want to? You're just gonna have to repaint it all the time. Are people walking on the concrete? And that's just a disaster waiting to happen. Or maintenance issue. I literally said that to her.
Seems to be happening more and more though.
Yes, oh yeah, I know, and I've made people take it off.
Seems to be
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, I don't know why, they just wanna make like a nice. You know, like when you paint your basement floor or something, make a nice clean surface, I don't know. I know, I agree, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Oh, I have, and I have made a motion to approve them.
Oh, you did?
I don't
Okay.
ask for a second on that. Yeah.
Okay, can I get a second on the motion to approve the applications approved by at staff level?
This is for all the, you know, or
However, if you. Well, somehow wanna word it that. Ms. Johnson is to speak with, I don't know, it's. You know, I don't know.
Who
how
made the
to-
motion?
Well, okay, then I'll put that into the motion with, at the request of the board, Ms. Johnson will discuss the bright blue shade that was used to paint at 804 North Third Street. With the hope that that can be, modified to a silver color or a different color.
All in, oh. Were you okay with seconding? I didn't know if you seconded.
did I second?
I didn't know.
You just
I don't
asked
think
the question.
anybody did.
Yeah, I don't think anybody did.
Okay, someone want to second it?
I'll second it. Let's go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, so the other business part, we had met on Saturday about that. I have 4 sections that I created of these to make, just so we can split them up. Starting to get a little colder. It was killing me this last month. I didn't do anything with it. But, trying to scan it. If everybody would be willing to take a couple properties off of this list to see if the work was actually done and done correctly, we could get this knocked out then.
So we don't know these.
I didn't do
Okay,
anything.
okay.
Maybe you didn't have any updates on any
No,
of
the
this, but-
only one I do have an update is the very last one, sorry, the one you're next door to you. I just sent, I think it was last week, finally, the compliance letter to 921 North Third Street. The non-compliance.
Oh,
letter,
oh.
Non-compliance. So they got a violation letter saying that they're not in compliance with what was approved by the reviewer. But their 14 days isn't, I just sent it last week. And then there is one other, 817 North Fourth Street on here, but I'm still dealing with, while I was out of the office. A new contractor by the management company has contacted me, so I'm trying to work with them on setting them straight on what is to be expected, so.
This is the one that's had like just been.
For
filtered
years,
through,
yeah, for years, it's owned by a bank and they just keep changing the contractors. and the other-
And you have to start over every month.
Yes.
That's a good approach. I'm willing to review them on
Yep.
site.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
So basically, we have three options, either work completed. We issue a 14-day warning letter,
Yep.
or we move ahead with the citation.
Yep.
And each person, like, as we review these, should come with a recommendation, like
Great idea.
this.
Yeah,
question.
yeah. Absolutely.
Amy, you gonna just delve out of who gets what? Or what?
No, I just
You're gonna
made that
do it.
report. Yeah,
You're gonna delve that out then?
I broke it up into 4 sections.
Alright,
I will send it. It's gonna,
alright,
I'll send it out Friday, the 4 sections of it. Or 5, whatever. I don't think you have a whole lot up there. I'm not sure.
I'll go
I
wherever you
look,
need me to.
okay.
Yeah, I don't have to stick in my neighborhood, there's not much up there.
But we'll have to, decide on who takes what. So. I try to get them as close together as possible, so. But anyway, all right. Oh. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, I'm not.
Yeah, we're 30 months and
Where is that?
at the very end.
Oh. Here.
Yeah.
I sent
I
out.
didn't see that, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I sent out the information, on Friday, I drafted, I listened to the meeting tape and gathered up all the questions and they were posed to the architect and they answered everything succinctly as I, provided to you on Friday.
So there's nothing new. Really.
No, it's just, I need a consensus. My boss, the community development director, wanted to make sure that there was no other issues, that the board felt that the answers to the questions were answered succinctly and by, can be approved by the board. It's all in the email that I sent you.
Oh, with the red.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, the answer.
First
was
class.
that.
Think about it in a minute.
You're like,
Oh, well, we did talk about it.
Yes.
Executive.
The board had approved the plans for stabilization as submitted, but that upon the condition that certain items be reviewed and approved in the field at staff level, which they did address in their response, that any additional scope of work that may develop subsequent to work commencing be submitted to the preservation officer for review and approval, and that the questions that the board addressed during their review would be presented to the chief building official and responded to for review and dissemination to the board members. So The board had concerns regarding matching the existing mortar, brick and coping materials and requested that they be verified in the field by the preservation officer. And their response was, the mortar and brick will be made to match existing to the greatest extent feasible. Where possible, masonry will be stabilized rather than replaced. The only historic materials subject to repair and placement are the terracotta trims on the front facade, but those weren't really noted in the plans that anything was gonna be touched on the front facade. So I'm not sure why he said that, but repair materials will be provided that match existing. And then the HARB requests, the next one was the HARB request clarification regarding the distinction between the hatched versus the cross hatch. There's a light and dark shading on the one sheet. And their answer was that the crosshatch darker are parapets constructed with a CMU backer. These may be rebuilt with brick to minimize potential for future damage due to differential movement of materials during temperature change. And then in parentheses, concrete moves at a different rate than clay brick, which can lead to cracking and exposed condition. The lighter hatched area indicates solid brick parapets that were extended 3 to 4 courses above existing in 1981. And then I think there was a comment about one of the keynotes, and they said that it was erroneous and explain that. There was a question, what material does the existing roof coping consist of? And are they to reuse the existing coping or replace it in kind? It was noted that a metal material was indicated, but is the entire roof coping made of metal? The answer was, aside from the front facade, which is terracotta and cast stone, all roof edge material is aluminum or coated steel for the 1981 renovations. The next question was, what is the width of the existing brick structural walls, double or triple width? And their answer was, varies by location. In some areas, a CMU and brick veneer was installed over the face of the existing brick wall. I'm attaching A1 and A2 from the 1981 facade updates, which depict sections of details of each of the conditions in question, and those were sent to you. The next question was, there are rectangles shown on the western elevation drawing right below the roof line. And basically, what were they? And then they weren't only indicated on one facade when they should be on both. And they said it's brick vents, see detail O on sheet A3. They will be added to the west facade drawing and a follow-up drawing sets. And then there was a correction regarding the access doors, a note regarding the access doors, and they said it was noted and will be corrected. And then finally, the eastern elevation on sheet AD 103 shows keyed note 241.20 at the exterior entrances and states inspect and secure existing exterior doors, and the board wondered what that scope of work included. The response was that it is intended that the purpose of securing the building, all existing exterior doors except those required for contract access, be made inoperable in a non-destructive or non-permanent manner that prevents operation, but in the case of the front facade doors, preserves them for future refurbishment or restoration. Plywood separations are only specified for interior areas to separate the building from the adjacent structure. So they're not doing anything, replacing the doors or doing anything to just to alter the existing doors. And those were all the questions that were asked.
Thank you.
Sure.
No exceptions.
Okay.
I read through it.
We discussed it.
Yeah, I went through them quickly at the executive.
Yeah.
meeting.
So with this response, then Amy, if the board's okay, there's nothing from a
I
hard
don't-
perspective that they need.
I don't think like we need to do another resolution or anything. And just note in the minutes that
Yeah.
the board accepts the
Right.
the responses and there are no exceptions. Okay. Yep. And then I can tell them that tomorrow. And then I can proceed. I have to proceed with filling out an application for the PHMC because they have to review the work because CDBG funding is being used to pay for this. So they also have to review and approve the work. And then once their approval comes, then it can go out to bid.
All right, anything for education and outreach committee reports?
Yeah.
Is policy committee the same thing? It's different.
Nothing.
Oh, policy committee,
Nothing.
that's you, Mr. Booth, yeah. Preservation accommodation. Yeah, I have one and I have to get the address of it. It's not in a historic district, but it is absolutely amazing and.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, that's
it's
great.
on Ole Street, but out, like, not near Schuylkill Avenue, in between, I'd say Center Avenue and Front, what is that? So it might be this corner of Ole and Front. Yeah, they did a hell of a job. It's beautiful.
Okay, I live right down the street from there, which one are you talking about?
It's the blue one.
Stuccoed over brick.
I don't think he's. stuck with
Sure he
the
did,
brick.
I lived there. He sure as shit did.
Well, it looks
Sorry
great.
about that.
I mean, it looks great.
Yeah, it
It's
looks good,
clean.
but yeah, that's not what the building looked like. It was all brick, it was brick and it was, it was like a yellowish tan brick painted with green trim.
If you get that address, I can take a picture and then.
Yeah,
I can
I know, I know the building. You look in Google Maps, it might come up with something. You only did it 2 years ago.
Oh,
It might come up with the old facade, actually. That's right down the street from my house. Now, I know what he did, because I watched it.
So you're not recommending
I
that?
wouldn't recommend it, no. It looked like a lot better before the way it looked.
Well, you can nominate them and put it up for a
Yeah,
vote.
yeah,
Just
we
like
probably
this
just discussed it.
network.
Yeah.
I don't mind split votes, I think that's a healthy sign.
It is. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So,
second.
third,
I just did it.
Fourth.
Third.
All right.
Then I'll take it.
This. Yeah.